Okay, so we review some questions, all right? Which question number one, was it bilingual education teaching in two languages with equal emphasis on both? Which of the following is a primary goal of bilingual education? To foster bilingualism and biliteracy. Which is the benefit? Enhance cognitive flexibility and problem-solving skills. What is translanguaging? So we will talk about this. Translanguaging and code switching, because we are doing bilingual. When should we speak Chinese in your teaching? All right, and dual language, a program where two languages are taught, okay, in bilingual education, alternating between languages within conversation or sentence, okay? Lack of access of teacher proficiency in both, okay? Number 8, positively, learning bilingual is really positive for your brain development, okay? Bilingual education aims for proficiency in both languages, while ESL focus on English only. Okay, sustaining and developing students' proficiency in their first language alongside the second language. Okay, so for today, so we only have 30 minutes, okay? So for today's lecture, we'll talk about what is bilingual education, and also we have what are we responsible for while you are teaching, and teaching concepts and the bilingual strategies and the teacher models and comparison. So in this, actually yesterday's lecture, we already talked about CLEAR. Do you remember the 4 elements about CLEAR? Do you remember? Oh yeah, but some of them attended the class, right? So CLEAR content, CLEAR means content integrated language learning. So you teach your content when you implement English, which is called CLEAR. All right, and we will also talk about, I'm going to talk about back channeling, which is most important when you are teaching. Okay, so we'll go fast, all right? So bilingual education doesn't mean to teach English. So what you have to do is to teach academic content. That's why in our program, I'm the host of this program. So that's why in our program, we don't teach students how to spell. We don't really focus on the sentence pattern, but we implement different issues. We have 19 issues. For example, yesterday we talked about gender equity, right? The bathroom, okay? So that's why we focus on the content itself, all right? But teaching English, okay? So we keep them on the same academic timelines as their peers. Don't delay your content, the progress of your content just because you use English. You should also keep pace with the program. All right, and develop higher cognition. In that video we saw, using bilingual will develop higher cognition, enhance learning abilities, improve problem solving, and multitasking and concentration skills. Let's turn up to switch it. Okay. All right, the type of bilingual education. So there are 3 types of bilingual education. Right? The first is transitional bilingual education. And transitional means the aim of this program is to switch. You may use Chinese in your class, but at the end of the course, you will focus on English only. But our program is named bilingual. So we always keep it Chinese when it is necessary. Okay, this is transitional. All right, but here, transitional means as they achieve English language skills, they transition to English-only classrooms, okay? But sometimes because our students are kids, so we still use Chinese when they need it, all right? So our program is pretty much like this. This program is designed English language learners and native English speakers. So students receive instructions in both languages with the goal of developing bilingualism and biliteracy. Okay, that's what we are. That's what we focus on. Okay, so let me show you how real bilingual education in the United States. Okay, so in the United States, they started with the kindergarten. Okay, they call it dual immersion program. So in dual immersion program, they started with the kindergarten, and they use target language. For example, they use English 90%, and I'm sorry, because this in the U.S. So for example, it's that if the class is if the program is Chinese and English, so they will use most of Chinese for kindergarten students 90% and English only 10%. Okay, so for example, in Taiwan, we may use English for kindergarten 90%, and then we increase the percentage of so that's English, Chinese, alright, so we increase Chinese until 50%. So fourth and beyond will be 50-50. So 50 Chinese, 50 English. That's the goal of dual bilingual education. Let me show you here. Here's a short video. Okay, so this program is in Chicago. What they are doing is to start with the kindergarten, but they started with 80%, 82%. Chicago Chinatown is the third biggest Chinatown in the United States. The biggest is in San Francisco, and the second is in New York.
Teachers, one regular ed teacher, and then one bilingual teacher. We thought of a way for our bilingual teachers to teach our general education students some basic Mandarin words, whether it's the days of the week, whether it's the numbers. And we also felt like the general ed teacher could assist with the oral language for our bilingual students. Hi, you guys!
You want to come to our class to teach us how to say a lot of English?
It brings them a different.
The earlier the kids are, they use more target language.
My favorite part is
This is English part. They play some games. Now, the Chinese class. You see, we also have African American students.
what the words are about. The rabbit song is about a rabbit hopping and eating carrot.
Okay, so in bilingual education, for example, in the U.S., in Canada, they doesn't matter what their language is. They will use English and also the second language, for example, Chinese or Spanish or even French. Okay, so that's how they are doing for their bilingual. Okay, so we are pretty much like this dual bilingual program. We keep Chinese and English. But why do we need Chinese? To help the students understand what you are saying, right? Okay, and the third type of bilingual education is maintenance bilingual education. Like right now for the kids, for elementary schools, they also teach 闽南语、乡土语, Hakkanics, alright, Hakka, and even Aboriginal language because they want to maintain their first language. So they continue to emphasize native language instruction that the students have become literate in dominant language. Throughout most education, students should continue to learn in both languages to strengthen their cultural identity. You know, cultural identity? Cultural identity means, how much you love your culture. Like Aboriginal students, Hakanis, things like that. All right. So this, what are we responsible for our class? We are very busy, even we are teaching online. We are still very busy. Okay, I want you to guess, but we are running out of time. Just show you the answer. Okay, we should break down the complex content into several parts to make our kids understand, right? And we also have to manage the classroom. So yesterday, I think in the afternoon, we have one class is how to manage your class. Right? So we manage the classroom and we evaluate the students' progress. We need to see from time to time. We need to see how they learn, how much they achieved for your teaching, all right? And conveying information clearly to your students, encourage their participation, listening to their questions. Sometimes kids have questions, right? Motivating students to learn, all right? So that's why we play a lot of games to make them concentrate on your class, okay? Also, we're adapting for different learning styles. We call it differentiate learning, 差异化教学, alright, and resolving their problems, okay, sustaining their attention, making them focus on your class, providing feedback. We say, well done, good job, things like that, alright. So building supportive environment. Okay, here is a video I also want you to see. There are three types of bilingual people. Some bilinguals, they start with very...
They can be classified into three general types. Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the U.S. from Peru when she's 2 years old. As a compound bilingual,
which means they learn the second language at a very early age.
Learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her. Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinated bilingual. Two sets of concepts.
Which means they learn English a little bit later, like teenage.
Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals.
Secondary
language by filtering it through their primary language. Because all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language, regardless of accent or pronunciation, the difference may not be...
Okay, so regardless their pronunciation or their accents, so at the end of this, okay, so in the end of this program,
regardless of accent or pronunciation, the difference may not be apparent to a casual observer. But recent advances in brain imaging technology have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain. It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more dominant in analytical and logical processes, while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones. Though this is a matter of degree, not an absolute split. The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis. According to this theory, children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them use both hemispheres in language acquisition, while in most adults, language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually the left. If this is true, learning a language in childhood may give you a more holistic grasp of its social and emotional contexts.
Okay, what does it mean? Learning a language in childhood may give you more holistic grasp of its social and emotional context. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. Alright, so when you look at the picture, okay, and I give you two English sentences, alright? Once you have reached the heights, the rest feels small. The second one, having sailed the vast ocean, small stringings fail to impress. Can you get a strong feeling about these two sentences? Let me give you Chinese. 曾经沧海难为水啊，让我想到那个当年抛弃我的，对我最爱的居然没有那个，对不对？好，所以 that's why a native language we have strong feelings towards the sentences or the phrases. That's why we need to use Chinese in our class sometimes. All right? Okay, so that's very important to use bilingual. That's why our program is bilingual. Okay, so for example, this story. Okay, if Jim doesn't kill me, before he take a second look at me, he will say I look like a chorus girl, 歌舞女郎 chorus girl. Okay, so for these two sentences, for the kids may not understand because it's quite difficult if you explain it in English. Okay, but if I translate sometimes, translate into Chinese, which will be very easy for them to understand. If Jim doesn't kill me, 他该不会杀了我吧？这样就很清楚了，他该不会杀了我吧？ Before he takes a second look at me, why the second look? Why second look? 有时候我们看东西，我们会讲，the second look, right? The second look. 那对孩子来讲，他可能会觉得什么 second look？ 为什么要看2次 ？Okay, but you can say， 如果他不仔细看，he may say that I like a chorus girl. 好，他还以为我是歌舞女郎。Okay, so that's the example of the sentence. That's why we use bilingual. Okay, teaching concept in bilingual education. Alright, there are 3 different concepts about bilingual education. One is additive bilingualism and the other is subtractive. One is plus, this is minus. Alright, now let's use these 3 for example. Transitional bilingual education is plus or minus. Bilingual education is plus or minus. Which one is plus? Which one is minus? 为什么会加？为什么会减？减 because this is subtractive. Because we try to ask the students not to use their native language in the end. Okay, but those are additive. Right? Those are additive bilingual program. So the students use the first language and also as well as their second language. 所以我们的英文是外加上去的 okay? But this one, we try to convince students to use English only in the end of the class. Okay, so this is 减 Alright, just give you some ideas. 15 minutes, alright. Okay, and language acquisition and language learning is very different. Let me give you here. Which one is conscious? Which one is subconscious? Which one learns fast? Which one learns slowly? Which one is used for first language? Which one is used for second language? Which one is pretty much for communication? Which one is structure? Language acquisition, 语言取得 language learning, 语言学习 So for our bilingual core program, it's 语言学习 not exactly language acquisition. Because language acquisition is for native language. So they learned English subconscious. 像小孩，好，就是听爸爸妈妈讲话，耳濡目染就会了。That's language acquisition. But language learning means you learn language, you learn vocabulary, you learn sentence patterns on purpose. Okay, so language learning is conscious, but language acquisition is subconscious. Okay, and language acquisition you can learn fast. Language learning is slow. Okay, and this one is for first language, and this one is for second language. Okay, so first language, language acquisition for the kids. Okay, this is for communication. They try to communicate with parents, with other kids. So this is language acquisition, but this one you learn structures, language patterns, but this is language learning. It's quite different. Okay, now we talk about code switching and translanguaging. Code switching. Let's see. Code switching is social linguistic. Code switching occurs when a speaker switches between two or more languages in the context of the single conversation. For example, today we're going to talk about the gender equality. Okay, so gender equality. 你们知道什么是性别平等吗？ Things like that. Okay, so you use Chinese and English, but not exactly translation. Okay, but you use English and Chinese. For example, in the company, today we will start our teaching. The first priority is talk about our financial problem. 大家有没有什么解决的方式 regarding our financial problems? We are lacking of our money flow. 所以大家有没有什么想法呢？ Okay, so they use Chinese, English, Chinese, English, which is really clear, which separates Chinese English. But translanguage is a social cognitive. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been to Singapore or Malaysia? Okay, that's fine. All right. Probably you have seen some videos. Okay, they will say like this. Don't do that. 我们的头家会 get really mad. So they borrow some words into their sentence. For example, today our meeting. Let's use Chinese. 我们今天的会议呢会 focus 在我们的 financial problem. 因为最近呢很多的 company blah blah blah. Okay, so we implement many languages all together, which is true translanguaging. So when should we use Chinese in your teaching? Depends on how you can help your students learn. Okay, so you can use code switching. You can use translanguaging. That's all fine. Okay, but code switching is for low achieving students. 如果你是教3、4年级 maybe you can use code switching. Okay, but for higher achieving students, you can use translanguaging because they have learned English more like a higher grade, like a 5th grader, 6th graders. You can use translanguaging. Okay. So that's 3 concepts. All right. Bilingual education strategies. Okay. So you can use TPR, which means total physical response. Okay. You can ask a student to give you some signs. For example, please raise your hands. And usually we ask them to turn on their camera. Okay. So you can use raise your hand. Let me know that you understand. Okay. So we use total physical response. So we use actions. And we give them some support, all right? So in the class, all right, don't be too serious because they are kids, younger kids, all right? And you can, give them some procedures, write in print to give them some support for their learning, all right? And shelter instructions. Shelter instructions means to use simplify the language, give extra wait time, right? Give them, if they haven't finished, for example, you say, you have 5 minutes to complete this task. But if they cannot finish in 5 times, you can give them 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes to give them more time because we use bilingual, they may need more time to practice, okay? So I already shared this PowerPoint in our platform, so you can download it. 10 minutes, okay? All right, English language experience approach, all right? So when you teach a topic, during your warm-up activity, you should ask the students their experience. For example, last week I visited an elementary school, and the foreign teacher tried to teach rainbow for first graders. Right? She tried to teach the rainbows. Okay, and she started with, do you know rainbow in Chinese? And one student answered, 彩虹. Okay, and the teacher said, yes, 彩虹. All right, 彩虹, rainbow has 7 colors. Red, orange, yellow. So she starts the lectures right away. But if I were in the class, I may ask the students, have you seen 彩虹? Have you seen it? Please raise your hand if you have seen the 彩虹. Okay, so students probably they will raise their hand. And when did you see 彩虹? Early in the morning, or afternoon, or after raining, things like that. So you keep asking them questions to make connections with their personal experience. Even they are really, really little kids, they still have some experience. Okay, so you try to reach their connections with their personal experience. Okay, that will make the class more interesting. Okay, realia. Realia means to use real things like pictures or some objects for students to learn. If you're talking about the body, you use the body pictures. Okay, and you let them to see your hair, so that will make your class, more fascinating. All right, and sometimes we assign students in group work. Group work is very helpful for students because they can learn from each other. Okay, and 7 is how to scaffold. All right, when we ask the students a question, sometimes they don't know how to answer it. So we give them a sentence pattern, but you put some blanks in the sentence. For example, when we talk about hobbies, right? I may say, I like to go shopping. So you say, I like to do something, and here's a blank. And you give them some vocabulary, all right? So they can choose the words that can fit some verb, right? So they can, or nouns, they can fit into the sentence. That's a scaffolding. 我们叫做音架理论. Okay, but don't forget, right? The purpose of having scaffolding is to remove the scaffold. The scaffold won't be there forever, right? The purpose is to remove it, right? Okay, and some examples, you can use cards, you can use vocabulary, some prompting, all right? So give them some hints. Those are scaffold example. Okay, and cultural studies. Okay, so we can, yesterday the lecture also mentioned that the Taiwanese culture. So because the kids were in Taiwan, so you may connect with their culture. For example, I've seen one foreign teacher who tried to teach students how to how to analyze numbers, how to analyze statistics. But that's for junior high school. 他教他们怎么做统计. Okay, and he started with the night market. Why night market can be associated with the statistics? Okay, so he started with stinky tofu, oyster, omelets, some milk bubble tea. He started with some food that we can find in night market. Okay, and he asked the students to ask each other which food, what kind of food you like. One, okay, you like steamed tofu, Okay, so they at the end of the class they collect some numbers and then use numbers to do statistics. right? To do statistical analysis. Okay, that's how we can connect with the cultures. Okay. All right, and the communication. Okay, so please speak slowly in your class. Okay, try to avoid idioms or acronyms. Idioms 就是一些成语孩子不会懂啊，或者是 acronyms 像一些缩写啊，啊什么 VIP， 他们可能知道 VIP，alright？For example, TPR, which I mentioned, total physical response. You use the whole, the full English vocabulary, right, for the kids. Okay, and we also learn many different platforms. Kahoot is already old-fashioned, kind of, right? Quizzes, blockades we played, right, at the beginning of this class, right? Blockades, word wall, word wall. Please raise your hand if you have used word wall. Word wall. 没用过的举手好了，没用过的啊，它真的太好用了。Word wall 呢，你不用自己出题。看一下，老师耽误一点时间。我们讲师来了，对不对？老师耽误一点点时间，因为我真的很想跟大家分享什么是bilingual哈。你随便找都可以，你只要打 word wall。譬如说 word wall sentence patterns, word wall clean water, word wall gender equality， 随便打都可以哈。譬如说打了之后，你就会找到很多哈，然后你就给同学把这个连接给同学，然后只要按 start， 他们可以自己用笔电或什么去连哈。譬如说这个toes 好，就连上来。hand 有没有 fingers mouth nose 非常简单又很好玩，而且都是人家做好的，你都不用做好，你就找现成的就好了。当然你也可以自己做，但是就要花时间哈。You don't need to waste your time. There are thousands games here. Word wall. You can create your own, of course, but you can just very, simply type. For example, I'm sorry. Word wall, cultural. But cultural is more difficult content, right? There's so many games. 随便啊，还有5大洲，好，然后这些很多游戏，很多，我常常用哈，因为我是教英文啊，所以我教到那个conditional sentence。First conditional, second conditional, third conditionals. I may use word wall for students to practice. 然后它也有难易度，好，然后像这个就是蛮难的啊。然后它有很多的游戏方式，你可以选，把这个改成这个，就会变成这样。把这个改成这个，改成这个，改成这个，是免费的。Okay, but if you do have time, if you do have money, you can pay. But I don't think it's necessary, So word wall 一定要玩的，非常好用，而且还有很多的游戏哈。Bamboozle. Have you ever used bamboozle? No? Bamboozle 也不错，它也是很多种的游戏，而且全部也都是现成的，都被别人做，我们都用别人的就好了。好，比如说there's some facts about the animals. Spiders are not animals, right? Spiders, okay? So spiders have 8 eyes. True or false? 你可以让孩子玩。它有8只眼。True. 它 tigers have stripes? True. The sun is a planet? False. An octopus has red blood? False. Right? Things like that. So they have done a lot of games. So right here, games. Okay, so you can search any types, any topics that you want to use, and you choose language. Okay, this is called bamboozle. Alright, and you can also make your own bingo. For example, this one, when Chinese New Year is coming, then you can create your bingo card for students to play. Alright, and flip day. Here's a video to instruct how to play this game, right? But this one is quite complicated. But if you do have time, you can create a game like this.等一下有一个做好的照片到来去。
这个这样子来是第三个故事。那我们看一下，
忘记记哪一个分钟了。
会有10题，或者按这个选标30秒的交换礼物。这第三个字体是怎样换？是不是都是错？
到哪里去？忘记记哪分钟？啊，这。
那就是各位，好，就是他答对的话，
前面一点点。
原来是这个语言。那如果说答对，第三组答对了。
Okay, so you can set different points. 简单的题目100分，难一点点的200分，好，然后呢，最难的是500分，然后你就可以让孩子们去选，他要挑战500分的，还是先从100分的开始，好，这个叫做 Flip Day。这个也很好玩，只是要花比较多时间，好，那我有做一个分享。就在你只要我的那个PDF 的连结都设好了，你只要点这个就会连到刚刚我看的那个影片，你点到这个就会连到那个 Make Your Own Bingo 哈，这个连到这个就会有 Bamboozle Word Wall for your reference。快要结束了，等我一下哟，不小心按到。不见了。地上我踩到了吗？好。Alright, so there's bamboozle here. 好，最后2个小主题。Okay, teaching types, teaching models, and the comparison. So yesterday, one of our lectures introduced Clio. Okay, but actually there are 4 different bilingual types, models. So you can see immersion, like the videos that we just showed, which is bilingual immersion bilingual programs in the US or in Canada. So immersion, we teach subjects, right? We teach subjects like math, physics, you know. So we invite subject teachers to teach immersion, right? And we focus on subjects, not English itself, okay? And we also evaluate your subject's learning outcome, OK， 这个源自于那个魁北克的哈，主要就是要让他们学英语哈，然后用英语教科目。Okay, so CBI means content-based learning. So we use language, we teach language, for example, language teacher, English teacher, language teacher. So they use English to teach some topic, for example, global warming. 好，可能其他会用中文教，但讲到 global warming， 他就用英文教。So based on the content， 好来 curricular topics 就是课纲，好跟着课纲走。好来 ，but we evaluate the students' learning outcome。OK， 这个是源自于英语系国家，好，大部分都是移民的家庭在用的。昨天老师讲的 Clio 呢是英语老师跟领域老师一起合作，来 learning and subject teachers they are working together. Okay, curriculum 也是课纲，但是呢 we evaluate students English language and subject. That's what we are doing. Alright, we try to help students improve their English as well as the subject, the 19 issues. 我们不是要把那个几项议题融入课程里吗？好，所以我们要让他有学到议题，但是又学到英文。OK， 那这个其实是1994年哈在欧洲的。好 ，EMI 学校一直在推 EMI。EMI doesn't mean to teach English, but we teach subjects in English. 那这是 EMI， 所以 EMI 不是要看他的英文进步多少，应该要看他的学科到底会不会，这个才是 EMI。所以我们有用英语教财经，用英语教国际，用国企，用英语教会计，用英语教资讯等等等等。The outcome will be subject, not the English itself. OK， 那 EMI 其实是为了要让大学招更多的外籍学生，所以才推 EMI。好，那所以呢，像桃园跟高雄国中小都在推 EMI， 我觉得不适合。你怎么用全英语教孩子？哈，所以 bilingual education will be more acceptable for the kids. Okay, so this is Clio. We already just talked about Clio yesterday, so I will skip this. Alright, so Clio, content, communication, cognition, which is learning, and cultural. Alright, we try to implement cultural into your teaching, so students will they will feel more interesting because we use something, the content that they know, like a night market, rainbow, right? Family tree. So they have parents, they understand. So we try to connect with the knowledge the prior knowledge that they learn. Okay. So when we use Clio, for example, we use appropriate language. What means appropriate language? For example, if you are teaching history, we use past form, we use past tense, right? History, we use past tense. Okay, so if you are teaching a procedure, we may have before, during, and after, like a global warming. Before, we had many trees, we had many animals, all right? But right now, we have fewer trees, okay? Afterwards, after we won't have trees, okay, in the future. So we use different tenses to convey the procedure. All right, and the very last one, 5 minutes, all right. Very last one is the back channeling. Back channeling is very important, not just teaching, even for during our conversation. What is the back channeling? Back channeling. 有权，礼拜五有上课，有没有听到？ Back channeling. Back channeling. You remember? I invite Tammy Shi, Professor Tammy Shi. Okay, back-channeling in linguistics. A back-channeling during the conversation occurs when one participant is speaking and another participant interjects in response to the speaker. Why should we give some feedback while we are talking to your friends or even to talk to the kids? Back-channeling. Back-channeling means to give some feedback. The last video. 来看一下这个影片啊。
我要怎么跟外国客户介绍这个产品？这就是为什么你需要翻点英语教育。
Hey guys, welcome back to Indiana's English Lounge. I've been okay, like you don't care what they're saying. Let's look at a conversation where the listener doesn't do any back channeling. So how have you been?
Okay, so this part of the example is not giving back channeling.
I've been okay. Actually, I'm just getting over a cold. Yeah, so it actually took me almost 10 days to get better. I usually only get sick once or twice a year though, so I should be good for a while. So what about you? Have you been good? Oh, I've been good. As you can see...
Okay, so that one is not giving back channeling.
Like the other person
But the following example will be good.
She felt a little bit uncomfortable. Let's see how this same conversation would feel more comfortable and natural with some back channeling.
With the back
So how
channeling.
have you been? I've been okay. Actually, I'm just getting over a cold. Oh no. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It took me like 10 days to recover. Jeez. I usually only get sick once or twice a year though, so I should be good for a while. That's good. So what about you? How have you been? I've been good. See the difference? Just a few interjections, and the girl in the hat really felt channeling surprising or unexpected.
So sometimes when kids share a story with you, you may share your feedback with surprise, excitement, or disappointed. Okay, so we use some very simple words to give them some, back channeling,
No.
right? Surprise? No. What?
You're kidding.
You're kidding.
You're joking. Wow.
Wow.
Really?
Really?
Seriously?
Seriously?
No way.
真的吗? No way. Get out of here.
Jeez.
别骗我
You
了
can use these
Disappointment,
when the other person tells you something that's sad or frustrating or disappointing.
frustrating. You can say,
No.
oh no.
What a shame. What a bummer. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
You can use these when the other
Excitement.
person tells you about something happy or exciting. Awesome.
Awesome.
That's great.
Great.
That's amazing.
Fascinating. Wonderful.
Cool.
Cool.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice. How exciting is that? You can use these.
Okay, so in your teaching, when you, for example, last night, please raise your hand. How many of you visit night market? Honestly, night market. 昨天谁去夜市的? Only two? Okay, so for example, all right, Julie, our bilingual teacher, okay, so Julie told me that, Michelle, tell you what, yes, last night I visited Shilin night market. I said, wow, that's nice. Okay, so give them some feedback. But Julie says, but I got lost. Oh no, are you kidding? Seriously? Okay, but I found my way out. Oh, that's good. how did you get back? Right? By a taxi, for example. Oh yeah, that's smart. So you give them some very small, very short talk to give the kids some reactions to show that how much you engage into the conversation and show that how much you care about your students. Okay, so that's also very important. Use backpacking strategy for your teaching. Okay, that's it. That's what I would like to share about the bilingual education. Thank you very much. Thank you.